coming up on all right, cool. So hey everybody, this is DTC Coffee Shop. I legitimately do have my coffee. I made some espresso before this started.
Yeah, I actually have some too.
I
I just realized.
Well, I really appreciate this. I was thinking this could be fun. I think we're all talking on Twitter, we're all having fun, we're all doing certain things, but we don't necessarily get to actually chop it up and have conversations. And like Dylan and I met years ago at a conference, and it's funny, I think well, I've told this story all the time, but maybe Dylan, you can tell the story. But like, we were sitting at a table with a guy doing mind models, and then, well, I'll let you tell the story. Just basically of how that started.
So we were it was ManyChat 2016, or I don't fucking know. It was some crazy. It was
the inaugural ManyChat conference.
Yeah, it was fun. But yeah, we came across each other. I mean, you were wearing your signature "Don't Be an Asshole" shirt, so of course the first thing I was like, I wonder if this guy's an asshole. And then I started recognizing you because you had those Facebook tips and sexy hacks. It was something like those on like Facebook ad buyer groups and shit. And I was like, man, I feel like I know you from somewhere. So we hit it off, of course. But we had this guy sitting at the same table, and I thought he was a sidekick. I may be completely wrong, but yeah. And then I was like, is this guy legit? And I think you were really into it. I really don't know.
Yeah, and then what I remember at one point in time, I flipped my hair, and you were like, "You're that guy," because like my Facebook profile was this video where I was just like,
yeah,
and it's like a '90s sitcom intro, and I was wearing a ladies ski like outfit, like a onesie, and it was awesome. And it's funny, I met Raba, I think, at that same conference.
Really?
Because you all knew me because I was bound in the Facebook groups. I was going before, at that time, Cat Howell and Tim Bird and all those people hadn't kicked me out of their groups yet. And what I was doing is I was just spamming all the groups with like tips, just like, here's what you should be doing. I'm spending $50 a day. This is what you should do. And then like, it was really bad for people's business. And then like, moderators would come in and be like, you can't promote yourself. I'm like, I have nothing to promote. I legitimately had nothing. And then between people like Dylan and Raba and the rest of them, who's now Raba is the CMO of Triple Whale, so mazel tov to him. They were like, bro, you should just make your own group. So I ended up doing that, and that's now got 12,000 people. And then I got hooked into making my own Patreon, and now that's, got Slack members and all sorts of fun stuff. So Brent, how did you come across all of this stuff, my man? Like Dylan and I are just shopping up like old buddies, but you have come onto the scene, and you've got, I gotta say, the haircut looks good. I think your kids are happy with it. But Jesus, you had like the sass Jesus thing going on. It was beautiful.
Yeah. I was social media Jesus for a while. But then the 5-year-old wanted to cut his hair, and then he got like cold feet, and I was like, okay, Dad'll go first. So now I look like this. Give me a year. I'll be back to where you are. So. Yeah, I just oh God, a little bit about me. You guys like know like I didn't realize that you knew each other as well as you.
Yeah,
like, we met like 5 years ago. And I'm like, we started following each other on Twitter like 2 weeks ago. Yeah, this should be fun.
Thing. That's the thing, is it's a fellowship, right? I mean, I would say it's a brotherhood, but there's a lot of really strong women. So I'll use the term fellowship. Like,
yeah,
people here, we all know each other. It's an extremely small world, even though we're all over I don't know where you are. Dylan, you're in Austin. Congratulations on your papers, by the way, on the house. I just bought a house here in LA. Where are you at, Brent?
I'm in Toronto.
Oh, bonjour. yeah, that checks out.
Not Montreal. Yeah, I mean, close enough.
How fucking uncomfortable I am.
Yeah, so I just joined Shoelace, which is like a D2C agency. I'm on week 6. Before that, I ran the performance marketing team for social media at Shopify for the last 3 and a bit years. So, I mean, we were talking about this before we started, but like, you're not being super public about what your strategy is when you're at a publicly traded company that has competitors like Amazon. So it's not like I was mixing it up that often, because you can't exactly be like, yep, here's exactly how I'm running, and this is my exact strategy. Let me share it with everybody. So now I get to do that because I'm not there anymore, and the strategy has probably changed. So I just joined Shoelace. It made the most sense. We do like Facebook and Google and email ads and like basically growth marketing for D2C brands, mostly Shopify. So it's kind of in my wheelhouse.
That's awesome.
So,
yeah, little known
so
brand out there.
like,
look out for it. Shopify. You might hear about it one day.
Yeah, right. I was there for about 5 years. Like I did their organic social, and then moved to like the growth side, which was kind of interesting because when I started in growth, the guy that was supposed to like teach me quit, and they just handed me like a multi-million-dollar a year budget, and they were like, I was like, who are you guys gonna hire to like replace this person? And they were like, no, it's you. And I was like, oh shit.
I love it. That's awesome.
So, yeah. Yeah, it was a good time.
Fun. I think, we've all had spots. Like Dylan used to work at Facebook too. I think I'm the only one that was never like an in-house vendor. Like I've worked at FMPs. I was at Hyphen for a long time. I was a senior by a long time. The longest job I've ever had was almost 2 years. I tend to get fired a lot. Well, not fired. I just apparently do way too many things that people frown upon. Like specifically at agencies, I have this terrible thing where I put client needs first, which is bad for business. And what I mean by that is, I'll give a quick example. I was running CBS television. We had a 7-figure daily budget. Which, by the way, I went from doing sales of tickets at Comic-Con for Jay and Silent Bob and getting my friends in like Circle Jerks and Body Count like verified on Instagram. I threw my band in there too, so we got verified also back in the day. I went from spending like $100-200 a day to going to a job interview and becoming a supervisor at Omnicom Performance Media, Resolution Media, managing CBS, Nissan, working with the Levi's and the Activision team. And I had never sent a corporate email. I legit like went to H&M and bought a suit for the interview. It's like, I don't know if you've ever been a defendant, but I went with the same mentality, right? Like I went to court with like my older brother's suit is basically the way I looked. Hey, look, I got the gig. So might as well have them. But yeah, I had, same kind of thing. Just like, okay, great. Here's a couple $1 million. Go have fun. But I did the thing where what they would do is they would say, okay, great. You're giving us $1 million to promote. Like I did the launch of Schitt's Creek, for instance, right? Or the biggest one that was the controversy was the Late Show with Stephen Colbert, right? So when he took over the show, and they gave us $1 million a day budget. And so what we were supposed to do is
what are you? Sorry, okay, like what are you? Because I've run brand campaigns, right? And it just feels so like icky and weird because you're just like, we're gonna optimize this towards like video views, like to do what? Like at least like get an email or something.
No.
Like,
So here's what we did: is we had the launch video, right? The 30-second like TV spot and the 15-second TV spot. So what you're supposed to do, what your job was supposed to be, which nobody told me, and I couldn't ask anybody because I was managing people who did the right thing. Like they went to high school, they got good grades, they went to college, they got a job, they were like responsible members of society. And I had been in the business for like 2 years, and I was working for $10 an hour 9 months ago. So like I had no clue what I was doing. Fun facts. But what you're supposed to do is you go to Facebook and you say, I want a reach and frequency campaign. I'm going to reach this many people at this frequency. Here's $1 million. Now, what they do is you get a commission on that ad spend, 20% commission, by the way, whatever. Omnicom, come after me, fine. That contract is way old, and the person that hired me at Omnicom doesn't work there anymore. The person that worked at CBS doesn't work there anymore, because CMOs have a life cycle of what, 2 years max?
2, maybe 3.
Maybe.
If you're really good, 3.
I know if you're really good, you get hired by somebody else to pay you more. That's where you get your promotion.
That's true.
And so basically what happened is, what I did, because I didn't know any better, was I would say, great, well, Facebook says it's going to be a $3 CPM. Cool. $3 CPM on a video view campaign. Now, mind you, I was doing organic social as well. And so what I did was like, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to take that $1 million. I'm going to chop it in half. $500,000 in an engagement campaign, $500,000 in a video view campaign. Now, I don't have enough money to get the reach and frequency anymore because my budget's not high enough. So Facebook said my CPM is $4. Great. I'm going to manual bid for impressions and a CPM at $3. Well, what happened is they quoted me a $4 CPM at like 85% market share at a 3 frequency or something like that, right? I had a 4.5, but I can only spend $800 because Facebook stops delivering. Now, that sounds great, right? I reached 87% of people 4 times. Here's the problem. I just cost the company $40,000 in commission, and CBS doesn't give a shit. So we got less budget on the next campaign from CBS, and I just cost more than half of my annual salary in a day. I did that 4 times in 1 week. They frowned upon me because I over-delivered for the client. Basically, I almost got fired because I did a really good job, and I didn't realize so my objective was to spend the client's money and then make the person that hired me look good to their boss, and then ask them for more money later. And mind you, this was after we had started that account with like Wheel of Fortune wanted to give us 50 grand for sweeps week. And I had gotten it up to great. May sweeps week, awesome. By show launch in that fall, we got $1 million a day campaigns because I was just crushing left, right, and center. By the way, what I also did was I built a case study off of the video views versus engagement campaigns. And I CC'd everybody at Resolution Media and everybody at Facebook because we were working with folks and because I didn't know how to even run a reach and frequency. And I was kind of antisocial or whatever at the company because everybody else was nice and did all the proper things. And I was just this guy running like cowboy boots and jeans and like band t-shirts rolling in, managing $1 million a day teams, just like some ridiculously full of himself creative director. And so they just put me in touch with all the people inside of Facebook. Like, well, maybe the guys at Facebook can just teach them. So I got to know the engineering team, the product team, the reps team, all of those folks, because they were the ones that basically Omnicom was like, can you just train this guy? Because we made a bad hire and we need him to be able to do the job functionally. So I CC all of Resolution Media and all the people at Facebook. And it basically determined you get a 35% lift on earned reach by an engagement campaign at a lower CPM because you're getting a better estimated action rate. So I was getting a better unit economics by doing engagement campaigns instead of video view campaigns, where the objective was video views and market share. I crushed because I got 35% lift on views and reach because I was getting earned reach on top of it. So because the engagement campaign inspired likes and comments, my CPMs came down. And because I was getting shares, I also got like 5,000, 10,000, million shares, whatever, right? So the reach of that campaign was massively better. So I typed that up in a nice little blah, 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 like a college paper, sent it out to everybody. I did it at the end of the week after I had run that across Code Black, Supergirl, the launch of Schitt's Creek, season 2, and the Stephen Colbert thing. And so I basically gave out company secrets to both Facebook and all of the people. I ran case studies without any permission. I wrote up a bunch of scientific studies and cost the company like nearly $400,000 in commissions. And basically CBS was like, holy shit, this is great. And we're not going to give you this money next time because you're doing really good. And I get a 90-day plan from my employer because apparently I'm
okay. But what's the but going back, like what's the KPI? And we should probably talk about things that actually matter to the overall community, not like how to spend on Schitt's Creek launches. But like what I never get
the entire first episode of the 2nd season. That was the ad.
Like, but what's the KPI though? Is it just like you got this many video views, or don't they like because
the KPI was share of voice and frequency.
Yeah.
So when I say I spent $1 million a day, like also I did that with like Activision and Levi's and Nissan.
Yeah.
All of those things where it was more directly driven, right? Like I did the lead gen ad unit. Like I brought that to market.
Yeah.
Test drives for Nissan Sentra and stuff.
That stuff, it makes sense to me. I just always and I come from like being like the organic brand guy. Like I was that guy for a really long time before and now all I can think of is like, well, how does this impact like bottom line? Like, where do you see the return on that? And how do you, and like, you can go out and do a bunch of like, let's survey some people and like, let's ask them if they are aware of this brand afterwards. But in my mind, it's just like,
here's the BI you get, because you have a great question. And this is also one of the things that is still happening. And I'll tail this into something that you should never do that I've been railing against for years from personal knowledge on why it's a terrible fucking idea.
Yeah.
What we would do is it wasn't broad. We would do demographic and interest targeting. And what that did was we could then tell CBS these are the advertisers you should go to sell your commercial space to. So it costs them $1 million to do validation to sell 7 million commercial time on their show. So they 7x that $1 million. Now, if you're reading between the lines, what you're seeing is there's a bunch of assholes like me dropping $1 million a day against that interest group that you think is going to be the secret to your success. I'm destroying your CPM, and you're never going to be able to compete. And I don't even give a fuck about making money. Yeah. Like, just flat out.
There are tons of those.
Yeah.
I mean, but one of my...
I like to use the example. You ever see Gangs in New York? The movie? Yeah. Remember? Okay, so there's a scene in Gangs in New York where the gangs were all fighting in like the corner to get like control. And then the Navy is just in the bay and they just like use cannons and decimate the entire block. I'm the fucking Navy.
Yeah.
You're the guy with a knife in your hand. You're going to win every time.
I'm the one over here targeting love and sex and shit, and then all of a sudden my CPMs go through the roof, you know?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, no, sorry. I need to know who's to buy advertising on the next run of Real Housewives of Atlanta, so fuck you. Your CPMs just went for $35.
Real Housewives.
I did do a lot of shit with Bravo.
It's funny because, I mean, I've never really done any kind of these branding type campaigns. I mean, everything's been pretty performance oriented to where it's like, hey, we either want leads or sales. It's like, I've never even done reach campaigns, to be honest.
Yeah, like at least they lead to it, right? Even if you're running like a video view campaign, you're doing it to get like 10-second video views and then retargeting them down the line, right? Like that makes sense to me for them to actually take an action. I mean, the hardest part for me was always like, how do you measure brand? And like how, and like it matters. Like you can't say brand doesn't matter. But I mean, what the CMO, Craig Miller, who was the CMO and then the CPO at Shopify, always used to say, like, brand is what happens when people don't click. And I like love that line because it means that you can go out and, I mean, lots of people didn't love that line either, especially if you're on the brand team. But like what that means is like you can still go out and run conversion campaigns that can also increase your brand awareness, right? Like you can increase your mind share while increasing your like bottom line revenue.
Well, I can tell you a case study that I did with to be named later coffee brand out of the Pacific Northwest that was doing some Bluetooth integration, data logics testing with Facebook. And what we did was we did afternoon reach campaigns and corporate centers, and then notice you saw this ad on your device, and then you Bluetooth geofence inside of a location of a store, and then your credit card got charged. And what is the lift of me doing that in your market? And 100% could point to, oh, we do this. And then we did the same thing for pizza chains that may or may not be promoted by one of my favorite characters from The Office. We did that a lot with them. And at the same time, I was also running a completely different company with this. Anyway, I had a lot of conflict of interest accounts.
Lots.
Yeah, but okay. So not completely shop. I do have a question that I want to ask. That's not even ads related. Yeah, there is a lot of good facial hair going on here. A Facebook user just commented that. I don't know if you guys can see the comment section, but I appreciate that.
Oh no, I should open that.
There's only one person so far, but it's good. This is how I run my lives, by the way. If you ever see me doing a live video, this is how I run it. And I'm live in like 3 places. I gotta figure out, by the way, StreamYard to go live on Instagram so I can be in 4 places at once and I don't have to put my phone like right here underneath the fucking thing. I wouldn't have to stack like 8 dictionaries up to just put the phone right in front. Like I gotta up my game. We'll see. So yeah, 2 things. One, so Brent, one thing for some background, Dylan and I happen to be in this direct-to-consumer fantasy football league with several other people. Now, here's the fun thing. And what I'm going to get to is I'm going to throw this to you for a second. Dylan and I got in this fantasy football league where I was like, hey, let's do this. Throw $100 or whatever. And I think Dylan had the idea. I don't know if it was you, Dylan, but somebody's like, let's throw this all into a shit coin. Was Dylan's idea? So what we ended up doing was we threw it all into shit. Now, do you follow crypto at all?
Yeah.
So we did this, and our $800, I think, is Dylan, are you the banker in this league? What is it?
Yeah, I bought a lot more though too.
You diluted our shares?
But yeah, I mean, I think so. Yesterday ours was sitting at 8,300, and right now it's probably at 74 to 7,500 from that $800.
So now it's like real. Like you're like you
it's
got to pay
weird to take
attention.
all too. There's
And
no
I'm getting
Yeah,
fucking
yeah.
shit on, dude. Like I'm about to purge this whole fucking team.
And for the record, Dylan, I did make you an offer last night. 2 players for 1. It's worth a shot. Do you do the fantasy football stuff, Brent?
I mean, I'm a good Canadian boy, and I do fantasy hockey from time to time.
Oh,
hey, there we go.
Canadian boy move of you. Absolutely.
Oh, I gotta show you something.
Dylan does a lot of hockey. Wait a minute. We just lost him for a second. Oh, it was gonna be a flex.
Yeah, I think I was like reading that in your like Twitter bio, right?
Yeah, I got this whole thing from the 1980 Lake Placid signed by the whole USA team and shit.
That's dope.
I'm a hockey junkie, dude.
Yeah, you're a goalie, right?
What's up?
I think Dylan's a goalie. We can see. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm a goalie. I got like 6 or 7 sets of goalie pads and shit, dude. I'm a goalie gear whore.
There you go. Brent, you ever play some hockey? I feel like
you have to. They won't give you a passport if you don't.
Yeah. It's like in Israel, you have to join the army. In Canada, the reason I didn't ask is because you have all your teeth, so I might be thinking that you're lying.
Right? Yeah, no, I know.
They have good dental work in Canada. They have free healthcare, so why wouldn't you have a good grip?
Yeah, exactly. I'm actually 65 years old. You guys just can't tell.
Our healthcare is that.
Yeah, it's that good.
Yeah, it's good.
Taxes suck, but dude, look at me.
Yeah,
absolutely. I love it. So this thing's worth like almost $8,000 now. I love it. So fun fact, I am Sam Thompson. I think was Jet Fuel. Is that his thing? Is that what it's called? I forget his brand name. He's got a bunch of projects going on. Anyway, he's ruling the league. He's 6-1.
I don't even think he's doing anything too, if I'm being honest.
He's not. He drafted well and he hasn't done much at all. Dylan is 1-6. So Brent, as a fantasy hockey guy, and there's only 17 weeks. 16 weeks. So things aren't looking good for you, Dylan.
I'll find a way to get a good ROI out of this. I'll find some way.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I will do this and then we'll move on. I'm gonna read out the trade, and if anybody's watching, we can see if they like the idea of this trade or not. Let's see. All right, so it's called DTC Shitcoin Battle Royale is the name of the league. Now I made Dylan a trade offer. Let's see, Jerry Jeudy and Antonio Gibson for Dalvin Cook. Now that's a wide receiver 1 and a running back 1 for an even better running back 1. But you can hold on to your champion, Dylan, and just keep losing, or you can diversify a little bit. Oh, I love it. Let's see. Dylan just posted. I might end up buying more. Okay, good.
I mean, Jerry, he's on freaking IR, so he's out of the question.
Who? Jeudy?
Jeudy, yeah.
He's on IR. He's coming back this week. He's got 14 projected points this week. He's in my lineup.
Antonio Gibson's he's questionable and he has some rough weeks, man.
Yeah, well,
I don't know.
If you're a really good player and keep losing with I got a champion and I'm gonna lose all the time. That's fine.
One of those things, man.
I'm just offering you an opportunity to win some games, buddy. All right. Well, anyway, with all of that stuff, some of the things I wanted to get to, we've been talking about a lot of things on the internet about stuff, and maybe we can get into some of this stuff. I'd be interested between you guys. I mean, I do hot takes and stuff like that all the time. People kind of know that where my hot takes are because I'm annoying about just repeating them over and over again. But I'm super curious, just what is working for you guys? What do you think is something that, if you had to say was a hot take or an atypical situation, something that you guys believe in that we don't necessarily have to get into a debate over, but just something that you're willing to die on that hill?
All right, I'll start. I'm an ad set budget guy, dude. I really am.
Oh, what?
I am.
No, this isn't going to go well for you.
I don't care. I am, 100%. And I also love interest-based audiences. For 3 of the accounts that are spending $300K plus a month, I've got to have 6 to 8 interests running and maybe 2 or 3 lookalikes. And we don't even have broad going. Well, for our holiday theme shit we do, but for our main control kind of campaigns, I did get that from you, Charlie. Those are, pretty stacked with probably 6 to 9 ad sets on average, but all ABO because I have some at $800 a day and some at $3K a day.
See, like, all right, here's my, like, I know that Charlie's going to get into his like, just
100%.
broad is the only fucking way.
The entire world knows my position because I taught Facebook what their position should be. So, like, we're good.
Okay, but here's my thing about, like, ABO, because I was looking at a setup that we have with one of our clients this morning that is, like, pure ABO where, like, it just seems like so much management to me. Like, the amount of time that you have to put in just to manage it and, like, to keep on top. And, like, when I took over at Shopify, that's how they were set up. And I went CBO and everything, like, our costs immediately dropped, right? Just because there's so much tinkering, especially when you, like, scale your budgets up, right? Like, if you have ad sets that you're running at like $200 a day, but you're spending like 8,000, then like that to me, I'm just like, fuck it. Like, I'd rather put like a min max in. Now, you're not going to get an argument from me around like interest, lookalike, retargeting, video viewer, like, because I think that you should run all of them. That's where Charlie's going to come in. That's why I'm being the middle guy right now before like Charlie goes off. But like, so I agree with that stuff. But for me, like the ABO side is just like so much management. And if you like miss a day, right? Like if you're not in there and paying attention and then like you don't transition, like I know that at least with CBO, it's going to transition if something goes sideways, right? Like if one of my events stops firing or like whatever it is, it's just going to transition the budget into a place. I mean, you're probably optimizing towards the same event, so it doesn't really matter. But like, I like having just one campaign setup, like where I'm just like, fuck it, put it all in there, put mins and maxes on it so that I can guarantee that spend will go towards those specific things. Because I have seen it go the other way too. If you don't like at a high scale, like 70 or 80K a day, all of a sudden it will over index into like your video viewers, and then your CPMs go through the roof, and then your overall costs go up too. That's why I'm a fan of like mins and maxes, where you're just like, all right, I'll put in like 30% of my budget max to go to broad, because otherwise I know broad will spend 100% and then I won't see the return that I'm looking for, that I know I can get from my like lookalikes. So, but ABO, I just,
yeah, you're right.
It's so much more. It's so much work.
Yeah, it's more to manage, but I mean, I look at everything on rolling 3 to 4 days at the absolute minimum. So I mean, we don't really, if we need to spend, 5K more that day, I can make that happen. But typically on the optimization side, I'll give it 3 or 4 days to kind of, because we do have days that are just super different, to be honest.
Yeah. And you can't, I mean, I've been having this conversation sorry, I'm going to transition a little bit. I'll let you go, Charlie. I promise.
Go for it.
I've been having this conversation about like BFCM, right? And like, how in the weeds do you actually need to be anymore around like what the fuck is happening? Because in my mind, I'm just like, can't you just set it and let it go? Because even if you're going to launch a thing on Black Friday, which is not the play, like you shouldn't just be like, yep, and here we go. Here are the new things. Let's go. This will be fine. Like, I get that, but at the same time, like, you can't. What are you do? What's the point? Why would you log it? Like, even Black Friday is going to start, and then all the data you're going to look at is modeled until the start of Monday, and then you get to see realistic data because it's taking 72 hours.
When I'm going back to my old school days here, so I'll still be using ABOs, but the way I'm seeing the Black Friday, Cyber Monday is I'd rather have multiple buckets that I can kind of scale. Because I mean, even back in I would double budgets, but you can't do that at all these days. Multiple times throughout the day, like 3 or 4 times. But during our flash sales and Black Friday, Cyber Monday, I'd rather have 10 different ad sets with larger budgets, knowing I'm going to ramp them up from 2K to 10K, for one freaking ad set. And I feel safer during those holidays because I know that buyer power is going to be a little bit more. And I do understand we're going to see a little bit of a drop off there immediately. And maybe, the next day actually see those results come through and be like, oh, thank God that was a good choice. Because this is the kind of the first year we're not going to be able to really see it as real time. So, but I'm going balls in. I'm going to double that budget 3 or 4 times one day, like 7 a.m.
Won't that trigger a review though? Like if you double your budget, like I always found that 20% was kind of the like increase by 20% or decrease by 20% and you're fine. But you do any more than that and you end up in review all over again.
Yeah.
I wouldn't
Right?
say we go back and review, but everything goes back into fucking learning. But I don't.
Yeah, well, that's like
Yeah.
Yeah. So let me come in for a second.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
when
All
you're
right.
doing
Yeah.
this-
Now we'll let you talk.
Okay. So when you do this double it down review, by the way, I love it. My next topic was BFCM. We're like, we got one thing after this, which I love, which you kind of already did. So 3 things. 1, when you're doubling the budget and you're going back in the learning phase, what you're doing is you are saying, Facebook, you got a few data points. Based on those data points, I want you to go out and find more. When you double that budget, you're saying, all right, throw out that data. So you got lucky this morning more because your offer reached the right inventory based on the history that your ad account has to see who you deliver to. Based on that, we want to index greater. My alternative to that, instead of doubling your budgets, is instead maybe you have multiple horses in the race. Me personally, what I've done for the last several years is I have maybe a slew of dynamic creative ad sets, all built around different concepts. By the time you get to a certain spend level, if you're not at a certain level of efficiency, you get turned off. My budget is what I want to spend. And if I'm doing good by a certain time of the day, I'll push it a little bit. But instead of trying to surf everything, I'm just saying I'm making my chains stronger by removing the weakest link dynamically. So I'm basically saying, instead of trying to abuse my employee that is good for me, like if you have 5 employees at your shop and you're making 10 things, 20 things a week, right? And you got one that can make 5 things and one that can make 8 or whatever, and then you got a couple that make 1 or 2. What this idea is of doubling down the budgets and all this other stuff, you're saying my employee that can make 8 a day, if I fire everybody else and make them make 30, clearly I'm good. And what are you going to happen? They might get you 30, but they're going to be absolute dog shit. What I'm saying is, why don't we just get rid of the 1 and then spread that work among everybody? So what we're doing is we're increasing our efficiency by reducing the lowest integrity data point in the algorithm. So we're basically, if you want to do it another way, we're grading on a curve. We're just getting rid of the 1 outlier. And then everything else becomes more manageable. And you're making much smaller moves with much higher confidence. And you don't even have to personally manage it. Like, I slept easy during Black Friday because I don't do anything. And by the way, for what it's worth, like, you should definitely not be running Black Friday sales launching on Black Friday.
No.
And yeah,
just so I'm clear, like, I did not mean that.
Our man Ash was like, oh, my Black Friday sales go live on November 1st. Like,
I mean, and think of what happened last year, or the year before that. We were down like 3 days. I think it was like 2 days before Black Friday or whatever it was. And like, if you didn't schedule shit, you must have been.
And so now here's the second point. Second point is, when you're talking about ABO versus CBO, I get the idea of wanting to be in control. Here's a point that I have. Your level of control is basically trying to predict the future based on low integrity data from the past. So you're saying, well, the last few days kind of look like this, although we know that it's not true because it's modeled and it's not totally complete. And based off of low integrity data from the past, I'm going to make predictions on the future where what I'm going to do is I'm going to have 10 investments, right? And all of these investments, I'm going to try to make them work. But if I have 2 investments, my 2 investments are going to be 5 times smarter than your 10, which means I don't have to manage it because there's this thing that's looking at billions of people on millions of websites 24 hours a day, analyzing trend analysis across multiple platforms at trillions of data points in microseconds, doing the hard work for me. So instead of me reacting to trying to predict to the future, instead of me being, instead of me basically playing blackjack, right? I've seen these cards come up. I think I know what's going to happen. Based on that, I'm going to do something. You might win, you might lose. You can do really well like that. You can get a B-. You can get a B+. The problem is, for you to go from 5,000 a day to 50,000 a day, you're going to have to work 20 times harder. Now, if you work 2 hours a day, that means you require a 40-hour-a-day workday where you're going to be correct all the time in those efforts, or you're going to be correct at enough of maintaining that pace. And so my point there is, then you're investing in a lot of these spaces that you're turning off, maybe, right? Like you're trying 10 different things, 20 different things, you turn off the bad ideas. How many employees whose future that you are investing in are you willing to fire on day 3, day 5, day 10, because they didn't do good enough? And so I want stability in my machine because I don't want to play the audience game, which ultimately brings me to the last point, which if you are playing the audience game, what that means is you are trying to take an ad and then force it into people. Now, the way interest groups work, for the record, is their affinity. Facebook was trying to compete with Google on affinity audiences. So they provided this new technology back when Facebook was a CPC platform when I started, and there was no conversion campaigns
I think
at all.
you mean Meta. I think you mean Meta. Facebook's not a thing anymore.
Oh yeah, sorry. Meta. My apologies. Back when Meta was just trying to rip off Alphabet. Yeah, taking it the whole way.
When you put it together in one sentence, it sounds even more tech pro.
First person to do it right here. There you go. First person. Our conversation broke the ice. So I love that. Thank you, Dylan, for keeping me honest. So here's the thing, is that what we're talking about ultimately is you are using technology that hasn't been updated in 5 or 6 years. That takes people's conversation, the sites that they visit, not necessarily because they have a positive or negative sentiment. So 30-40% of the people in that interest group might be talking about, like, you know what, I just hate coffee. I hate coffee, blah, 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 blah. But if you talk about it all the time and you go to like ihatecoffee.com, you're going to be in the coffee interest group. And we see this especially during times of a lot of ad spend. For instance, like more on political shit, you see a whole bunch of shit you don't necessarily agree with because you talk on the internet about how much you hate something, and then you see ads for it all over the place, right? And it's because you're in the interest group. So now what you're doing is you are paying extra money. You're paying a tax to customize. Now, when you stack an interest group or any type of targeting, back in the day, Facebook used to be very transparent, saying this interest group costs you an extra 35 cents on your CPM or an extra $1 on your CPM. It was literally listed when you added it. There was a line item on the sheet, like a receipt. Right?
Datalogix, Axiom, they all have that.
Datalogix, Axiom. Oh, you want this thing? Cool. It's $1.20. Now, they still do that. Any bit of customization that you want to apply costs extra. Anything you customize, right? Now, luckily, this cup came pre-awesome, so I didn't have to pay extra. But coffee dose in San Diego, if you ever want to go, or Orange County. Anyway, if you want to customize something, it costs extra. So you are paying extra money to reach an audience where a good 30 to 40% of that audience at least doesn't like you positively. Now, the downstream effect of showing an ad to somebody that doesn't like you is your estimated action rate goes down and your page score or the gamma score depreciates because you're now being shown as a low quality business partner to Facebook and their business objectives. So now what's happening is you are paying extra money to make all of your advertising costs, not even just in that ad set, but everything that you are doing as a brand, more expensive because you're being seen as a lower integrity partner to Facebook. And because your ads do the learning, they make their own lookalike audiences because every ad is basically just a web page and it measures the click-through rate, the bounce rate, the stickiness of actions on Facebook.
Yeah.
So you're preventing your ad from being shown to the people, a large slew of people that might want it, that Facebook wants to show it to. So you're paying extra to restrict the ad from being shown to somebody that would receive it positively, for the net benefit of making it more expensive to advertise downstream. So ultimately, the ABO and interest group route, you are working extra hard to make it harder for you to be successful in a way that makes it more expensive for you. And it relies on you predicting the future based off of incomplete data from the past, and ultimately is a non-scalable solution. You can do that tremendously to get to 3,000 a day, 5,000 a day. Like I did that myself and I got to like 15, 20 grand with 310. But you're never going to break through that next level. And the problem there is you're going to have depreciating returns. Now, the big thing, and I'll drop with this and then we can get out of it, is iOS 14. Here's what happened is if you are not respecting Facebook's business model, their pivot with aggregated events manager prioritizes the user experience more than we ever have. Just like when they added in the edge rank system with the introduction of the conversion objective. And everybody that was like, look, we're going to continue to run as a traffic platform. We only need is CPCs, lower CPCs, and we're good to go. All those people died. And what we're seeing now is a situation of everybody that's trying to hack the machine is seeing $20, $30, $50, $100 CPMs. Ads work for like 3 days. They're leveling up their level of work. But ultimately, they're going to be more of a struggle. So my point is, I know the Titanic is sinking. So for the last 3 years, I've been working my efforts to build a lifeboat and to try to go from there. You can be successful. You can be the last person to drown, but you're still going to die. And here's the last thing. Doing it, what I'm talking about, people that I'm working with, they're seeing lower and lower CPMs. I got like 4 or 5 messages from students in the last 2 weeks where they're like, I haven't seen numbers like this since 2018. And I'm seeing everybody else say, oh man, my CPMs are $30. My ad account's getting shut down. And I'll pivot to this with BFCM. With Black Friday. If you run...
You could get through without like going off. I knew at some point you were just gonna like. I was like, we're gonna talk for a little while, and then you're gonna go on like a massive broad rant for like 20 minutes, and there it is.
Hey, look, I'm an old radio guy and I'm full of myself, so I will take that. I used to be Sirius XM. One day I'll talk to you about how Hulk Hogan's sex tape ruined my radio career for Sirius XM. That's a whole other story. We can get to that some other time. But yeah, fun with sex tape and Florida radio.
You want to tell us it, man?
What's that?
You want to share it with us, it seems like.
Yeah.
We can get to all that another time. We are running out of time here, and I do have the Facebook Ads MBA program onboarding call in 7 minutes. But by the way, if you want to know how to run ads, let me know.
Yeah.
So when it comes to Black Friday Monday, the biggest mistake, and I want to know you guys' opinion on this. I think the biggest mistake people are making is they're running discounts and they're trying to acquire customers. Here's why that's a mistake for 3 reasons. Number one, a discount means you make less profit on that customer, but the CPMs are rising. So you are paying a higher inventory cost to make less of a margin on that customer. Number two, you devalue yourself with that customer because who do I care about? The person, like the girl at the dance that says yes even before you ask versus the girl that turns you down 3 times. You know what I'm saying? Like the point is, the person that is like, oh, you didn't want to pay full price? Hey, look, don't go away. Let me make it half price. Awesome. I know your product is shit. You were overcharging me to begin with. Fine. I'll take advantage of you. Done. I'm a price conscious consumer. Basically, you just stole 1 sale from Jeff Bezos, and that person's never going to come back. Third, and this is the bigger piece. And by the way, you should be doing upsells, driving more value. I won't get into that. Third, here's the issue. What if you do acquire 10,000 customers? If your product is outside the port at Long Beach right now, and it's going to take 5 weeks for it to land, 3 weeks to get to you to process, and another 2-3 weeks to get to your customer, what do you think is going to happen to your page score on Facebook because you're unable to fulfill your orders? What do you think is going to happen to those customers that have already gotten burned by you? So you paid extra to make less money to acquire a whole bunch of customers that you can't fulfill. The downstream net effect of that is you've tanked your LTV, and you might not be able to advertise on Facebook anymore because you had too many unfulfilled orders. That's my personal opinion. I'm working with brands like we don't even run Black Friday. Like it's a waste of time. Black Friday at best I look at it as a higher AOV, higher LTV customer acquisition time. You don't want, I'm not going to sell you this one thing from plantgoods.com. If you want this, it's great. If you don't want it, buy 2 get 1 free. I'm going to get $100 out of you instead of 50. You don't want the Ginsu knife? Cool. I'm going to put it with 3 other knives in the block, and I'm going to put it the little Madden thing, the thing that cuts a fucking fish. Nobody ever uses the paring knife or any of that stuff. And I'm going to double all that stuff and give it to you for 3 easy payments for $39.99. You were going to pay me $20, but now you're scrambling to pay me $1.20. That's the customer.
Yeah, so you're saying you should push the bundles over the discounts. Yeah,
I would say, look, Black Friday offers are big bundles. I want to sell higher ticket items to fewer customers. They're going to have a larger LTV. If I know my LTV on the average customer is $120, let me sell $150 bundles. I've immediately improved my brand LTV, and if I get a second sale off of that person, I could double it.
So that's how what I wonder.
I'm going to double my top line, and you're still fighting to stay in business.
Yeah. What I wonder is like, and we've seen this because we had one of our clients last year run a thing where they were like, listen, we're going to donate instead. And it did not go well because, and like the working hypothesis that we have that I think kind of makes the most sense is like, people are selfish during like BFCM. Everybody wants a deal, right? So like they just want to see, and it doesn't even like, and 10% isn't, because we had some study internally. I think, I don't know who did it, but it showed that a 20 to 30% discount saw the highest like engage, like 10% nobody cares, and anything above 30 has like obviously diminishing returns.
Sure.
So like but I think that people want to see that because that's what they're looking for. They're not looking for like, so it's either bundle in that there's some kind of deal, right? You still have to say some kind of deal. You can't just be like, hey, you know what our price was 8 days ago? It's the same again, but it's Black Friday, so buy it, right? Like that's never going to work.
Market up from 50 to 60 and then offer 20% off.
Yeah, we're doing a lot.
Like that's.
No, I think, Charlie, you were the one who brought it up to me originally. This is maybe 2 years ago, I feel like. But we do still do discounts for some brands, but a lot of the other ones, I'm like, let's do some limited edition drops and shit. You know, bundle and save, valued at $149. You get it for $120 or some shit. I push those, but it really comes down to the receptivity of the client, to be honest. Because, I couldn't agree more.
Yeah, when a client pushes back and like, I'm not sure if I want to do this, I have the conversation with them. Do you want to pay extra to have lower quality customers that are going to tank your business next year? Or do you want to build a customer base that's going to double your LTV? Do you want to make money or do you want to struggle to pay the bills? Bottom line, you let me know. Do you want to make money? Yes or no? Cool. You want to make money? Let's do it my way. You want to do it your way and struggle to stay in business? I'll let you drive the ship.
Are you guys running like email capture ahead of it, like where you're like, hey, sign up for this stuff? Because like for me, that seems like the easiest win, where you're like, I'll take myself out of the market during when it's the highest, and I'll use free channels in order to get in touch with those people.
Yeah,
we have like 2 minutes, and I'll do one thing here, and then we can all wrap up. The email capture, totally believe in it. Here's what you do: you have a Facebook group and an email capture. You do the email capture drip ahead of time. You also drop your Black Friday sales as a private link inside of your Facebook group. So you get all your customers. You exclude everybody that has opened the email and everybody that has watched the video that you posted inside of your group that talks about the thing. So you have a retargeting audience of the video that you did to announce the discount. You exclude people that viewed that video and everybody that opened the email. Then by the time Black Friday actually drops, you're only acquiring new customers that have never seen you before. You're letting everybody else knife each other in the streets. And then to reference before, you're just the cannonball from the fucking thing. Like everybody's gonna chop each other over to make $20. You want to pay $200 and change your life and have a brand relationship with me? Awesome. And I'm gonna crush everybody else because I only need 1/5 of the conversion rate and 1/5 of the customer base. And I'm gonna double your revenue. And I'm gonna double your profit margin. I don't know. That's my style. I don't know. For what it's worth.
Yeah, no, I'm not. We have like a minute, so I'm not jumping in. I'm just gonna let you end on your rant. Like, there we go.
Hey, look. I apologize for the.
No, it's totally fine.
But hey, so the people that are watching, short little self promo. I mean, people know me at least, and my name is down there. You can. It's right at that. There you go. But yeah, introduce yourself, Brent. How can we find you? How can we talk to you later?
I'm Brent Entertainer on most things. Twitter is mostly where Brent Entertainer. I'm Brent Entertaining. Go, dude.
Okay, yeah, I'm Dylan. Find me on Twitter at Marketer Dylan. I have my new course launching on how to scale with ad set budget optimization. Just let me know. No, I'm fucking with y'all. I don't do that shit. But yeah, find me on Twitter. I post some cool shit and some fun live shit. You know, I don't know. It's cool.
I will say this: Dylan does have the coolest promo video for what a laptop should be that I've ever seen in my life.
Oh, I watched that right before this because I was like, I need to know who this Dylan guy is, and I was like, what the hell is this thing?
Yeah, it's amazing. So
I got more coming.
Yeah, teaser. Go check out Dylan for that. Thank you, Brent. I really appreciate it. This was fun. We're going to definitely do this more often. I like this. Maybe once a week or something like that. Just chopping it up. We're real people on the internet. I'm not just some asshole. You're not just some funny guy. And Dylan's not just somebody that everybody knows and loves. We're actually real people. These are our faces. You know, it's not just black and white colors on a screen, or maybe with dark mode and it's white and black or whatever. I don't care. I'm not a dark mode cat. But I really appreciate it, guys. I'm gonna post this thing up, and I gotta go. I got a customer ready to have a conversation, and well, it's all about the customer, right? So, with that being said, thank you guys so much, and I'll talk to you later.
Later, guys.
Cheers.
Bye.